Welcome to DNX Solutions podcast, leading the way in cloud modernization services.
Hello everyone, welcome to this very short, sharp session. My name is Kelly Griffin. I'm the CTO here at DNX.Solutions. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Shannon Zorn, who is our security practice lead. How are you, Shannon?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's having a good time here at my parents' house after the conference. So yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries, man. Thank you so much for joining. It's a good point, man. You are in the US. I'm still here in Australia. It's a crazy time zone, but I'm so glad that we got to get together at this point in time. Mate, for those that don't know, mate, you spent the last week at AWS Reinforce over in the States. Keen to get your thoughts, man. What is Reinforce, man? Where is it? And why did you go?
Yeah, well, Reinforce is a specialized conference conducted annually, of course, by AWS. It has a focus on cloud security, compliance, identity, and privacy. And there's kind of a lot of technical experts or expert guided learning sessions that are designed to help attendees, improve their organization's cloud security posture. It took place here in the States, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from 10th to 12th June, Monday through Wednesday. And I was actually impressed with there was quite a diverse audience of security professionals. There was a lot of executives and overall technologists, kind of from all areas of the world and all areas of the market. And many of them, like myself, we wanted to stay updated on the latest trends, technologies, and best practices in cloud security. And that's kind of why I was here. So it's actually a really fun event, and I learned a lot.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I know for a fact, because you've been sharing internally with DNX, the amount of different sessions that you went to and some really insightful sessions. Really keen, what did you probably find the most impactful session or announcement from the event?
Yeah. Of course, it's the keynote because that's where they save all the good announcements. But the keynote speech by Chris Betts was probably the biggest one, the AWS CISO. And in this keynote, one of the big announcements was the introduction of a lot of advanced features that are going to be built into Amazon Guard Duty to better improve its capabilities for threat detection and mitigation. For example, they talked about new machine learning models for detecting suspicious data access patterns in Amazon S3 buckets. Models that can analyze high volumes of API activity to identify potential data exfiltration attempts, some of which, of course, is crucial to protecting sensitive data that's sitting in those buckets. He had another Guard Duty highlight, talked about new and improved functionalities for runtime security in Amazon ECS and AWS Fargate, kind of extending threat detection to, containerized environments. And it kind of addressed some of the shortages or shortcomings and increased need for container security as more organizations, adopt those microservice and container technologies. So yeah, that was it. And those were kind of the main ones. A lot of them around Guard Duty, Security Hub. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's a really good point. Like the containerized environments and how we're protecting not just, the where they're running, but also the runtime of the container, the exposure that the container may have as well. So yeah, super cool to see, AWS really sort of jumping into that space a lot more. Mate, I want to pivot slightly. No doubt, in every event that we see at the moment, there's the phrase Gen AI, and I have no doubt that it popped up from a security perspective as well. Yeah, just wondering, how do you see Gen AI transforming like our approach to security, and what are the steps that customers should take to implement these type of technologies?
Yeah, I mean, I would say before I attended the conference, I was a bit skeptical of some of the things that I read about. Because at first, a lot of people believe Gen AI is overblown, but I think what AWS, they turned me from a skeptic to a believer in this conference.
Wow.
It's in some of the ways they featured AI, and I guess it can help us is, one of the ways is enhance of threat detection, of course. When we're manually investigating an incident here at DNX, there's a lot of things we have to do manually, going through logs, creating our own queries in Aurora, Gen AI can save us time, and it can analyze vast amounts of data that, identify patterns and anomalies that may indicate, like potential security threats. And they talked about machine learning and how it can detect unusual activities a lot quicker than traditional methods and teams. And such as like subtle low frequency attacks, or even sophisticated phishing attempts. Something else is driven around automated response and remediation was really huge.
Wow.
Some of the AI driven systems can automate repetitive tasks, things like I talked about, filtering incident alerts, kind of reducing that white noise or false positives, and kind of automating preliminary responses, and even kind of going with your run books and things like that. It allows, in the end, people are worried, oh, it's going to take the jobs of a security expert or some of your engineers, but it kind of allows your security team to focus more on, complex, high priority threats, and improves your overall incident response times in the end. Another point of it was kind of, I guess, predictive analysis type stuff. It can help security teams predict potential security incidents by analyzing historical data and identifying some of the precursors to an attack. And as you know, this kind of helps organizations beef up their systems before an attack can succeed, and kind of help prevent these attacks before they actually happen. Another portion is like natural language processing. AI powered natural language processing, I was going to say NLP, can automate the analysis of security logs and reports, converting raw data into kind of actionable insights. Not only tell you, what could be causing the issues you're having, but visually depict it. Say draw the attack path, or it was amazing. It also, of course, facilitates quicker decision making, and it enhances not only like a security engineer's ability to understand, but even some of those that may not be security minded or know exactly what's going on. So Gen AI, basically it improves our thinking and our intelligence when it comes to security. I don't want to drag this question on, but there's also investment and planning, and investing in data quality, leveraging additional tools, etc. But yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. That's a really good point. Like we could talk for hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours around where Gen AI and security sort of overlap now. Because we typically think, excuse me, sorry folks, just coming off a bit of a cold. We could talk about, when we look at Gen AI, everyone sort of goes, oh, customer experience and stuff, augmentation and process optimization and stuff like that. But it's like, well, hang on a minute. We can really drive some really interesting type of conversations and summarization and threat detection and management aspects there. So really cool stuff. I am mindful, man, we've got a really short, sharp window here. So excuse me. I'm going to move on to the next question, because I really want to highlight another area that you and I have sort of been speaking about recently, which is things like scale access management, right? There's new methods for managing access keys, enhancing identity perimeters. You and I talk about a lot about, the lack of perimeter these days and the borderless security controls. What are the key takeaways from that session, and how do we apply those sort of strategies to improve our security practices?
Yeah, so of course, we're talking about access key management. It kind of emphasized or prioritized the importance of regularly rotating access keys to minimize the risk of exposure or misuse. And then they kind of showed us some really good examples of automating this process using, like AWS Secrets Manager and AWS IAM Access Analyzer, which both, can kind of help streamline key management and enforce best practices in your organization. Another part of that's monitoring, auditing. They highlighted kind of the need for continuous monitoring, auditing of access key usage to detect anomalous behavior or activities, and utilize AWS CloudTrail and GuardDuty to monitor access key actions and identify these anomalies using those new advanced capabilities powered by AI that I was speaking about earlier.
There it is again.
Yeah, it's all AI. And there's also the enhanced identity perimeter. They talked about fine-grained access controls and using these control policies, I guess, to restrict access to only what's necessary. One example is leveraging AWS IAM policies and attribute-based access control, or ABAC, to enforce least privilege principles. And one of the other tidbits to that was, integrating federated identity management solutions to centralize and streamline identity management across multiple cloud and on-premise environments. AWS single sign-on and AWS IAM Identity Center can help with these integrations in the end. There's also, I don't want to drag this on again, but like automated policy enforcement, protecting against insider threats. And, I can talk about later how we kind of apply these strategies to improve security practices. So.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like we apply a lot of those security practices to our foundations, right? When we're working with customers, it's kind of one of the first things that we do around, building up and bolstering the identity component, and looking at different ways that we can provide some sort of access management, and at least control that and provide visibility. Mate, last question for you, because this is a very different topic. One very unique session that you went to was around emotional intelligence security leadership. Hey, talk us through the concepts of cognitive and emotional intelligence and how that drives security leadership practices, and what are the benefits that you see?
Yeah, this was one of the surprising sessions I went to. I kind of looked at it and I was like, do I need to go to this? And I realized, maybe I do need to work on this myself. I think we all do at times,
we all
especially
do.
under stressful environments. But integrating the concepts of cognitive and emotional intelligence into security leadership practices at DNX, actually, everywhere, of course, can help improve the effectiveness of our security strategies and team dynamics. One way is improving, integral of cognitive and emotional intelligence is kind of promoting self-awareness and self-regulation. The action to that is, it encourages leaders and team members to develop self-awareness by understanding their own emotions and triggers. And this can be achieved, I guess, through, regular reflection sessions, self-assessment tools, and feedback sessions. And, some people may be skeptical, but, they talked about some of the benefits of that, like greater self-awareness kind of leads to better decision-making in the organization, particularly in high-stress situations, which, if we're doing an investigation or responding to an incident, happens. Another key area of that conversation was like empathy and understanding. The action to that, of course, is, you foster a culture of empathy by training leaders to understand and share the feelings of their team members. And it includes things like, active listening, providing support during challenging times. And, the benefit to that, especially in my case, I really need to improve this, empathetic leadership can lead to higher employee morale and better teamwork. As employees and members of your team feel more valued and understood. Of course, if that's the case, it in turn helps improve overall job, satisfaction, and helps reduce turnover in the end, a churn, within the company. Effective communication was another big piece. They talked about, improving communication skills by focusing, on clarity, active listening, and things like constructive feedback. Ways to address that or make that happen, regularly scheduled team meetings and one-on-one sessions, check-ins. Those are actually a lot of things we do well at DNX, to be honest.
We do a lot of this stuff already, right? This is really interesting.
Yeah. And, there's also parts of it, they talk about building resilience and managing stress. Maybe organizations can implement programs and workshops on stress management, mindfulness. We could bring in like a third party, to help us with resilience building techniques. And we should encourage employees, I guess, to take breaks and promote a balanced work-life environment, which, I know in Australia, they do a lot better in the United States. And I'm going to admit that, being a U.S. citizen. Of course, they talk about leading by example also. And this is something that I believe you do well. And there's a lot of people in DNX that do well is, security leaders should model emotionally intelligent behaviors such as maintaining composure under pressure. We're always under pressure, but we don't start cursing and storm off. And at least we don't do it in front of other people, right? And we demonstrate empathy and we openly admit mistakes and we learn from them. So those are some of the key indicators, key things that we can do to improve that intelligence, emotional intelligence within. It was really cool. I actually thought that was really one of those off topics that turned out to be really useful for me, to be honest. So
I mean, and it really ties back into, security teams, right? It's very high stressful. It's very emotional. There's a lot of a lot of pressure in those environments. So how do you sort of self-regulate, and how do you from a leadership perspective, how do you protect and look after the team?
Yeah.
Very, very different type of session. Mate, we are at time, man. Naturally, mate,
Yeah.
we could talk for hours and hours and hours. And we're gonna do some more sessions over the next couple of days anyway, you and I. Finally, mate, naturally our customers are gonna want to have questions. They desperately gonna want to find out where you are. Mate,
Yeah.
how do we find you?
Yeah, so we've got multiple options. Of course, I'm on LinkedIn under Shannon Zorn. We've got our website, DNX.Solutions. And then of course we got a physical location at three towers, three international towers, level 17, and Barangaroo, New South Wales. So those are three areas. And if you go to our website, there's a link there for you to email us if you need to. And yeah, there's multiple options. And if you need my phone number, just go on LinkedIn, click on my profile, and I believe you can pull up my number. If not, send me a message and I'll send it to you. And I'd be happy to have a discussion.
Absolutely, man. Folks, that's a wrap. This, as we said, man, this is a teaser. Over the next couple of days, we're going to go deeper into some more of these sessions and some other sessions as well that Shannon went to. So until then, stay safe, secure, and don't forget to protect your customer experience. Thanks very much.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the DNX Solutions podcast. Follow us on socials or visit DNX.Solutions for more.